Get in the game. Get with IBT for your muscular and therapeutic needs for your athlete.
Hey, ready, set, go. It's time to hit the mark. This that show you need to know about. We set ourselves apart. Sports talk at the pinnacle. We got all the knowledge covering every level, helping these young men get to college. Got the coverage of a DB, vision of a QB coming at you like a DN. Let all of that sink in. Working in the weight room, we can't take no days off. Doing drills when they not looking, that's what make us stand out. Don't worry about how much time is left, we got it planned out. Execution, elite footwork, nasty when we running routes. Accuracy off the chain, we've been on it from the start. Reaching for the sky, hitting the bullseye, we on the mark.
What it do? It's Wednesday. We up, man. Look, we made it through July 4th. We back. The On Your Mark Show live from the Fishbowl Radio Network, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every Play I Compete. And some new fit, too. If y'all like this, man, go ahead to everyplayIcompete.com. The On Your Mark Show, the On Your Mark Sports. Look, merch is going down, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Listen, I got offensive linemen, parents, players. You might want to check this one out today. This is strictly for you. I'm telling you, this guy is the voice of the trenches, man. My dude, Zach Collins, Coach Zach Collins from Trappin in the Trenches. And guess what? He's also a state champion. He got a little bit of bling on his finger.
Yeah.
South Oak Cliff High School offensive line coach as well. Zach, what it do?
What's up, Mark? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm great, man. Of course, my dude, Coach J in the building.
What up? What up?
What's up, Coach?
Beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man.
Nah,
We
it
appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. Like, share, subscribe. You might want to press record on this one. I'm telling you, you might want to listen up. So, Coach, like I was telling you before we got started, what I like to do with coaches is kind of tell, where you played, collegiately, high school, how you got into coaching, and all that.
Okay. Starting in high school, my first 3 years I played at Arlington Seguin under Carlos Lynn.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Coach Lynn.
Started my senior year, I transferred. Well, really the end of my junior year, I transferred to Prime Prep in Dallas with Deion Sanders, obviously.
Absolutely.
Really transferred to be with Coach O.
Yeah.
And, that turned into a lifetime relationship.
Absolutely.
After playing my senior year, I ended up transferring back to Seguin to finish off and graduate from there because, Prime Prep had its issues.
Right.
But I graduated, signed to Alabama A&M early June. So, because before then I was committed JUCO.
Okay.
And, thought I was going to Los Angeles.
Right.
But Alabama A&M came in late, offered me, signed immediately. Went there probably a month later. Spent a year in Huntsville. It wasn't really for me. 10 hours away from home. I went from being a man to being 4th, 5th string behind 3, 4 seniors.
Right.
That's a lot for kids, especially, coming from where we come from. I've been
Absolutely.
playing 14 years at that point, and it was like, nah, you go to the back of the line, and this ain't for you.
Right.
So, and the biggest thing that I would say I take away from my experience is learning, like, if you and the strength coach aren't on the same page, that program not for you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like whether it's your fault or his fault,
Yeah.
that's just somewhere you'll never be able to see because that's the head coach's right-hand man in college.
Right.
And me and him never, clicked on any level, so I had to get up out of there. So I spent the year, transferred, went to Texas A&M. Thought I was done playing ball. Thought I was going to be doing something like this, just being on ESPN. And then Jalen Morton called me like, hey, man, we need linemen at PV. So I went there. Probably the best decision of my life academically. Went, enjoyed myself. Love Prairie View. Like, with everything in me, I love it.
Right.
Played 2 years. Had a 5th year to do. But I'm just always been that person of understanding when stuff is done.
Right.
Started on ESPNU, did everything I wanted to do.
Right.
I was like, hey, man, I ain't trying to go to the league. I know what it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But during that time is when O is having his camps in Houston.
No doubt.
So I'm going, going back and forth, making a little lunch money, making a little gas money.
Right.
Going there, just doing indie, just,
Right.
giving
Absolutely.
the game that I was taught the same way O would do for me. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's how the camps just slowly, going on because it's O and Mike at that point.
Right.
And, random D lineman, whether it be Cisco, who's still my boy in Houston,
Absolutely.
who's in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? It's O and Mike at that point. It's
Right.
they show. Zach is just, he plays at PV. That's not his point yet.
Right.
But, as time changes, we push to 2023, it's a lot different now.
Right. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But that's the genesis of it. That's the start of me going into where I'm at right now.
Now, you brought up an interesting conversation as far as, having to transfer. That's unique now with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And even in high school now, there's a big transfer thing going on as we speak.
For sure.
Talk about that mindset for you just a little bit, because you mentioned, you're going off 10 hours away. Coach, we talk about these things all the time. Just last week, really week to week on the On Your Mark show, it's about being comfortable getting away from home. Being a freshman, you spoke about 10 hours away. I know in that mindset, when I was a freshman, I was about 6.5 hours away. When they dropped me off, I saw the taillights go down the hill. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So talk about that. And, each decision you made was a stepping stone to where you are now. How did you make those decisions comfortably, and you feel about them now today?
Okay. The transfer in high school, that is a pivotal moment just in my life, period, because that's, if at 17 you have a son and you got, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
you've been at that point.
Absolutely.
So it's like me and my dad is butting heads because I'm like, hey, I'm not getting recruited. I need to move around to do, like I've seen on Twitter, this is what's happening. And in 2014, Twitter is not what it is today.
Absolutely.
But, being on the phone all the time, you understand what it is.
Absolutely.
So you're like, okay, these are college coaches. This is where they're at.
Right.
And it's hard to explain that to a 40-year-old man who don't be on his phone like this. So he don't see the vision of I need to be with Coach O.
Right.
So my dad, he never understood it. So I had to ultimately move with my mom in order to transfer.
Right.
So that was something big because I lived with my dad my whole life.
Right.
Now moving into college, it's the same. It's a different concept, but now it's both of them against me essentially. And I'm telling them I understand what I want to do with my life. I always knew football was. I'm 6 foot on a good day. Yeah. And I'm 330, and I'm not super athletic. I'm always smart, but I'm not super athletic. So I know it's a ceiling to my game. That's just me being honest. I've always been that person with myself. So explaining that to people and being like, hey, I'm a transfer. And they're like, are you sure? You've played football your whole life. Is this what you want to do? Now, granted, did I love Texas A&M? No. Just in the sense of not being able to play football or anything. Life was drastically different in College Station. But you got to think of me telling them, hey, this is just what I want to do. Right. And then coming back a year later, I'm going to go play football at PV. And they're like, are you really sure? You're going to transfer a second time? And I'm just like, yes. Right. But it's trusting your process into understanding, you don't see the vision. No offense to my people, you ain't went through this. Right. So you don't know what's going on. Right. But I see it. And I had a plan to get to whatever I was going to do. I was going to graduate, whatever it was. Right. But I had the vision to be nah, I'm going to go there and I'm going to play football just because I know if I keep doing this, I'm going to probably end up out of college. And, you talking to somebody that scored 2-part 1350, I'm supposed to be in school.
No doubt.
But it's nah, if I ain't playing ball, I don't want to do this. So I understand completely the portal and all that moving around. I just tell people you need to be certain of what you're doing and having a plan. I've always told whether my people seen the plan or not, I had the vision. You know what I'm saying? So you just jumping in the portal because you don't like your situation, you're going to screw yourself because there's plenty of people that's in there versus – you know what I'm saying? The people that, produce, like your son, had a great bowl game. Now you get to go somewhere where you're not at home. Right. But that's not everywhere. Right. And I'm telling you, I just had these conversations in spring ball of I associate it. Because, young men, they associate it to women. They do it, yeah. But I'm saying I gave it the example to women. All right, you don't understand the football example? Let me tell you about this. Right. You got a girl that you like. Y'all together. It's cool. You have an issue with something. If you're not going to leave the situation, you making an issue and you're not going nowhere, it's pointless and you're only going to be more mad because you're still going to be in that situation. Right. You get what I'm saying? Absolutely. Versus okay, if you're going to get up out of there, get up out of there. Because I'm saying all right, you don't like it, what we going to do? Right. Well, I don't know. I really do like the school. It's just this. All right, then, so we're going to be here and we're going to get away from us being mad about it and find what we like. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it takes me to have these conversations because I am somebody who done went to 5, 6, 7 schools. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it takes you to understand, nah, bro, it ain't really always green. Right. Because if I stay in Alabama, I probably start the next 4 years. Right. But am I where I'm at now? Do I have this big training business? Am I back in Texas? You know what I'm saying? Right. That's a whole different life. And it probably wasn't for me. Right. So, that's just something they got to fully take it in its consideration because it could change your life.
Well, it can change your life drastically, Coach. And, one thing he said was trusting the process. It's something we talk about all the time. Yeah. When it comes to trying to get in the right situation, you have to make sure that everything is fitting your niche.
Yeah, for sure.
Parents, the most important thing I think he said over and over was he understood his vision and he stuck to it. And, he understands that he knew where he was going. And that's the key. I think a lot of kids now don't really look at their future as far as where they're going. And I always ask, what is your why? And why do you want to do it? Then you have to establish that, because when times get hard, and it will,
Right.
where are you going to pull from?
Right.
So that and then trusting the process. And everybody process is different. So some will take a twist, some will be straight line. But everyone is different, and you can't base, what you do off of looking at somebody else's roadmap.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You're in your car driving yourself. So your detours may take you somewhere, and your pit stop may be a little longer than the person next to you, where God has said, hey, you going straight there. But I got a lesson for you. I need you to pull over, take some time, think, redirect, and then let's go.
Right.
So everybody's situation is completely different. But if you're not in tune with who you are, if you're looking at everybody else's successes, saying that should be me, then you setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
And like you said, even with the portal, I'm blessed in the sense of course, being able to help a lot of kids, navigate through that.
Right.
And I always tell parents, if they call me and say, hey, coach, my son is in the portal, I said, that's your first mistake.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you didn't have a plan going in, don't go.
Right.
Like
be sitting there like drying paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, again, where we're asking young men to make adult decisions
Early.
around true adults that are educated on how to do this every single day. We're putting them in harm's way if we forcing them to make adult decisions, because they're thinking emotional.
Yeah, they
right?
definitely still with feelings based. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely. And one important factor is college football is a business.
Right.
You can't make emotional decisions based on business.
Right.
You're always going to fail.
Right.
Always. So if they don't know that, then they're setting themselves up for failure, because everything is all emotional. Oh, the coach don't like me. I ain't playing today. That's emotional.
Right.
Yeah.
Then did you sit down and think about what's the business side of it?
Right.
How can I strategically put myself in a situation to where I can leverage my future, right?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
if this ain't the spot, did I know that coming in?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
now that I didn't know it, how do I exit
Right.
without it backfiring?
Exactly.
Right? And then we rewind the tape all the way back to when I was recruited. What are the relationships? A lot of kids close those doors and don't even realize I can't go back because I pooped on the guy that I didn't say yes to.
Right.
Yep.
You got to remember, don't burn bridges.
Nope.
And a lot of kids do it because
Right.
they say, well, I already know where I want to go, so I ain't got to talk to you no more.
Right.
That's the wrong mistake to make.
Absolutely.
Because now, when the circle turns, they
That's
say,
connected.
remember?
Yeah, that happens a lot, and that's what people don't talk about. Behind the scenes, we're talking about the transfer portal recruiting relationships that you have. You talking to a D3 coach, and 2 months later, he's at a Division I, program, and you boo-booed on it. You know what I'm saying? To say the least, keep it clean. You know what I mean? They remember that. And
They gonna remember.
and they'll remember that to your school as well.
Yeah.
Things like that. You can call it political, whatever, but everything is
what it
based
is.
on relationships.
Yeah,
You
it
know
is.
what I'm saying?
It is.
If I go and have words with you and have words with him, you know what I'm saying, then that messes up my arch to get connected with him. For me, I have to have access to you. I have to have access to you in order to see the prospects, to see these things. And that goes into recruiting as well.
It does.
Because people look at those things. So but before we switch gears, PV,
Yes.
Alabama State.
A&M.
A&M, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The HBCU experience. I think that's a lot of things that people don't talk about. It's more than just, about football. And before we switch gears, I want to get your thoughts on how that was. We don't get a chance to talk about those things a lot.
Okay.
I grew up in Houston, and coaches got some Houston ties as well. So, I had a chance to go to PV, as an adolescent, and it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I took my son down there for a baseball recruiting trip. It's a lot better now.
Whole different level.
Whole
Yeah.
different animal. You know what I'm saying?
That's because Texas A&M.
Yeah,
came
right.
in.
Texas A&M
The
money
money part
put
of
that
it,
money.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sure.
it's elevated to another
Yeah.
level now.
When
But
I was at TSU, that PV you
No.
see now,
It's
no,
not
it's
there.
not there.
Nah.
Even TSU,
Yeah,
even a Renaissance of Third Ward. It's a whole different thing now that these schools actually have some people pouring into them now.
For sure.
Tons of room for improvement,
Yes,
but
it-
you can
it's
see
getting
it.
there.
Yeah,
It's a lot
yeah,
better
yeah,
than
yeah.
what you went to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And even for instance, like at SOC, we have a coach that went there like early 2000s. He actually was on the team that broke the streak. So he gets to tell me a different PV perspective about old Blackshire and all of that. Which even I seen the change of it because I take a recruiting trip my senior year and they still playing at old Blackshire.
Right.
And then my freshman year they're playing at Waller Stadium.
Right.
And then by the time I come to PV, it's the $50 million facility.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing. But if you talk about the HBCU experience versus in Alabama and Huntsville and going to see the Magic City Classic and 80 to 100,000, people that look like us, and it's like it's a whole different experience of like, dang, this is really like this exactly the culmination of watching like when I was younger, ESPNU, and you see HBCUs every Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only channel they would be on.
Right.
And you can ask like I came in like my senior year, went to prom prep. I was like, I want to go to a HBCU. Like that's probably my ceiling of football.
Right.
Like I've watched Grambling. I went to Grambling homecoming like 7 times as a young kid. Like that's just something where I was like, okay, these people my size. There's people around here going there. I can go there. But experiencing it, it's like you say, we're gonna keep it clean. But it's something that I would say like I say, it's the best decision of my life.
It's beautiful.
Yes, you're gonna take you take a PV small, relatively compared to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I take a different way to class. I'm gonna see something different every other time, and then you're gonna be like, wow, I might be in love again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that the bands, the experience where you got Catfish Fridays or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? That's just something you don't get. Whereas, and you feel like included. It's 10, anywhere from 7 to 10,000 students on the campus, but you feel included. You know what I'm saying? Your classes is small. It's roughly 25 to 30 people in there, and you really getting taught to what you want to do.
Right.
Like I was a comm major, but my teacher was a movie person. So I now I can break down movies and tell you what type of angles and all of this is just based off her experience and us being able to teach us at a lower level. But it was that's an experience that I would like. If you have obviously I grew up an OU fan my whole life. So if somebody has, a higher level school versus that, I would say do what's best for you.
Right.
But if we just going to school, it's not even a question.
Right.
It's not a question.
Right.
And shout out to the HBCUs,
For
but
sure.
I do have a bone to pick with y'all. If any HBCU coach is watching right now, football can be so much better at that level. The relationships.
I got in trouble for this, and I had to tell them like, nah, I wear this because these are the people that come see me. Like I got kids. Like y'all seen the numbers that I posted the other day.
Absolutely.
But you see, I got 2 at TSU and 2 at PV.
Right.
Whereas, let's be honest, I can do a lot more than that.
Right.
But it's like, what I'm saying?
That's the bone that I have to pick
Right.
because we're trying to push kids that way, and they're like, nope, not yet. So why not do the early thing? Why not start the relationships very, very early?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the conversation is always, if we do it early, somebody else going.
And
It doesn't matter when
it
you
don't
do
matter.
it; they coming anyway.
Right. It's like they picking off somebody else's plate.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Whereas starting
they're
their own
not
plate.
right. They're not at the buffet table early enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That's
they,
the thing.
They
That's
feel
the
like
problem
they
that I
don't
have.
have a chance. Just like you talked about that. You got to shoot your shot early.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a pecking order. You know what I'm saying? And if you show the love, you can reciprocate the love.
Eventually,
and I think that's the from a recruiting perspective on HBCUs, they feel like they don't have the weight to carry. You know what I'm saying? But I think before Coach Prime and those guys left Jackson State, they changed the narrative a little bit. FAMU changed the narrative a little bit as far as trying to compete on the level to try to get the 4 and 5 star kid. But they feel like they don't have the resources to do it. They don't have the resources to put the coaches on the road to go get it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you've been to the mega camps. I'm hearing a lot of those guys, the TSUs, the Grambling and stuff. They come out with those big things. They have the budget. Everybody else is there, and they try to pick out then.
Yeah.
They don't start early enough on the recruiting trail, and that's the bone
That's
you
the
got to pick
problem.
with them.
That is.
There's a lot of talent here.
Yeah.
And I give you the example. My son, of course, born and raised in Houston, was always at TSU. Every time they had something, I'm there. Camps, I'm there. He's at camp. They flat out told me to my face, we're not going to recruit him. And I'm like, wait, what? His mama graduated from here. I went here. Why wouldn't you? Like, he a legacy kid. We know he's not going to come. And this was 8th grade. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
That's how it go.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
And never offered him.
Right.
I can't make it get in the fight.
And guess where he at now?
Back in
And
Houston.
guess where he at now?
Right.
Back in Houston.
Right down the street.
Yeah.
Right down the street.
Right. But I think they're stepping up a little bit. Ricky, big time wide receiver for South Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
They just got him at TSU. They got my guy DeMichael, the safety from DeSoto.
Yes.
On this coming class.
Yes.
And they did offer Landon Callis. Shout out to TSU for that. Appreciate that. Landon, one of the top.
So the bread is getting
ninth
shredded
graders.
a little bit.
Yeah, they got Dennis. They got one of my kids from North Shore.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
They doing what they it's going into
A
that
little
direction.
bit.
Yes,
Right.
but it's not what you should. If we're in the areas of Dallas or Austin or Houston, okay, you don't take the top 10 kids there.
Right.
But it's still kids there that can produce in your program.
Absolutely.
And we're not gonna
Man.
act like we don't cut on this film
Right.
and we don't see like
Some
a level
dogs.
of football.
Absolutely.
And I'm talking about when we
High
watch
level.
SWAC football
Yes.
versus like, I got to go into this office like, hey, Zach, like we went and watched Grambling and PV this weekend and it looked a certain type of way. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
But it could always, like he say, the play could be elevated,
Right.
but you got to be able to willing to get into those rooms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, it's just having the bravado to get
Yes.
there too. They gotta have the confidence to
Yeah.
go in there. Like you said, I love that. You can't make somebody get into a fight. You know
No.
what I'm saying?
No. not at
So
all.
it's it's like you got to pick and prod at them, rank on them or something like that to make them act bad. And that's not the case when it comes to it. If you're in those particular places, you got to be able to step out and say, hey, cast your rod. Hey, I'm in the building. You know what I'm saying? This is Prairie View. This is Grambling. We in the building.
And then having the relationships with the high school coaches where they can identify kids early,
Right.
That's going to fit their system.
Right.
That they can, really reach out to early. It's so many kids. And for me, it's crazy because there's so many kids that graduate from Duncanville, DeSoto, North Shore, their senior year and don't go anywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
TSU.
Because they don't want to go to the D2 schools.
Right.
Or, what I'm saying, the lower level schools, which,
Right.
it's nothing wrong with that. But if I
Nothing
feel like,
wrong with it at
if
all.
I feel like I played at the national powerhouse and I feel like I could go play at X, Y, or Z in
Right.
this lower level FCS ball,
Right.
and they never even came to see me because they was only looking at Colin Simmons or whatever you want
Right.
to say.
Right.
And now I'm not being realistic with myself. And that's the other part
That is
of
the
it.
key.
And it's just,
We gotta go
okay,
into that.
we're going to be honest. Like, okay, is Colin Simmons going to go to PV? Probably not.
Heck no.
But they had a D tackle this year, which we've all seen, and there's no reason in America he should be at Southwestern Oklahoma.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with Southwestern Oklahoma. One of my best friends graduated from
Right.
there. That was a SWAC D tackle, and if he goes and plays,
Jabron Peters.
yes, and if he
Yes.
goes and plays at
Absolutely.
PV right now, he probably
starts.
starts
Yeah.
because they just graduated like 4 seniors.
Yeah. I agree.
Like you're talking about a disruptor in that game.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Alex January, Texas commit.
Yeah.
Colin Simmons probably be in the league in 3 years.
Yeah.
But 55
What's
he
causing
What's
havoc?
the problem?
eating.
And I
was eating.
What's the
I
problem?
was telling
He was
everybody I
eating.
talked to about
What's
it.
the problem?
Hey.
I
He was
totally
eating.
agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that's one that was missed.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
We're talking
Yeah.
about a guy, and he,
And we see it every year.
the McQueen at your camp this weekend is the
Yeah.
same type of player.
Yes.
And I saw him 2 years ago at a camp.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the same type of body type.
Yeah,
Just
getting off the ball.
dude.
Yeah.
He a dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's where you missing out. If I'm in these recruiting rooms, I am jumping off a wall about a kid like that to come and play because
'Cause
he
you can
gonna,
see
he
it
gonna
on
want it.
film.
You can see it.
You can
Well,
see
you
it.
see it right there on front.
It's-
I'm looking at it on the sideline.
It's definitely a head scratcher.
Right.
Parents, listen to this. Tell your kids and yourself, and I know they agree with me. If your kid is in high school and you want them to get recruited, they want to get recruited, but only one school come, two school. It doesn't matter what level it is. Not every kid is afforded the opportunity to play beyond high school. So here's the process. If your kid feels like a D2 is beneath them, then say, hey, son, go there, break records. Because now you're going to stand out. If it's beneath you, you're going to go there and you're on a higher level.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go there and you don't get on the football field your freshman year, guess what?
That
You
means
right
that's
where
where
you
you're
need to be.
Right. Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
You right where you need to be.
A&M just took that Grand Valley State kid who went crazy.
Right, right.
So it can happen for you.
Right.
Recruiting never stops
Right.
in college.
Now,
Especially not today.
Not today.
Yeah,
Not
recruiting
10 years
never
ago,
stops.
Maybe
Yeah, it was
different.
done.
Yeah.
It was
We
done.
talking about right now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
once you leave high school and you're afforded the opportunity to play, you're still going to be recruited
Nah,
if
absolutely.
you a dude.
Right.
Now,
if you're a practice player, hey, it is what it is.
At the same time, it's not 4 years no more. It's
No.
6 months.
Absolutely.
And if we don't like you, we're gonna be like, hey,
Hit the portal.
we're gonna give you a good recommendation.
Absolutely.
But this ain't the place for you.
Right.
Oh, and they will push
that's
you in the
happening
portal.
right
They will
now.
tell you,
Right.
pack them
No
up.
doubt.
That's happening.
Yeah, they'll
So
tell you, pack them
it's,
up.
It's both sides.
They
to
don't
it.
say it out loud.
Yeah.
But the key is, again, I think, and this is just me personally, I think a lot of kids have this D1 mentality or bust. Because they're afraid to be exposed. They're afraid to be found out that I am a D2, I am an NAIA player. But who cares?
Right.
Because, again, not everybody gets to play beyond high school.
Right.
So go where you can continue to play.
Well, they're
or just
afraid-
be honest
they
and say, I
also-
don't want to play no
They're
more.
afraid to get their feelings hurt too. And that's a lot of goes. Like you said,
Getting exposed.
stop watching everybody else and concentrate on your situation. You can't read off the other dudes. Like a cheat sheet. You got to make your own playbook, and that's the thing you're saying about it. You can't do that. You know what I mean? And looking at somebody else's success, make your own.
It's a whole lot of kids right now that'll leave high school, go D2, and don't even see the field.
Right.
And could have swore for God they was going D1.
Right.
And
so
that's,
you
I
right
really
where
be
you need
having
to
them
be.
conversations with the kids, like, the expectations of what they supposed to be, what they want to be in their career, everything. Because
Right.
I'll be like, okay, you're going to be a good high school player.
Right.
You'll be D2 NAIA. And then I have, a kid to where I was like, all right, bro, we supposed to be getting drafted in 2 years. Like,
Right.
you got to figure this out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you need somebody in your life to be that honest with you.
Absolutely.
Because that's not happening a lot. Because, whether they don't want to listen to their parents after a certain type of time, their coach is only going, I'm a high school coach. There's only so much I can pour into them. Now, granted, do I spend a lot of time with my kids? For sure. Probably more than most because I don't have, I don't have nothing at home. I don't got a wife. So it's like, that's my life.
Right.
But at a certain point, a normal coach who got 2-3 kids at home, he can't spend all
cuts
day
it
with
off.
you.
Yeah.
His phone might cut off at a certain time. Mine is on all night. I get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you have to have somebody in your life to be honest with you, tell you like, okay, you have this opportunity. You could do this. You can go there. If Sagu is who you got and you still want to go play football, go play Sagu.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Shout
saying?
out Greg Ellis.
Yeah.
Was
You know
just on the show.
Yeah.
Shout out KP. You know what I'm
KP.
saying?
Yeah, but
for
it's
sure.
just, you know what I'm saying. You need that honesty in their life, and that's something that's missing a lot too. Because it's not, well, my kid is better than this person, or my kid is doing this. All right, well, what does he project as? What does he look like right now? What has he done? What does he run? What don't they know about him? Because as much as what you produce, it's a lot that goes into the unknown.
Right.
A whole lot. A whole lot.
Really more, because it's like, all right, I can create more with this.
Right.
Versus you put something on the field and they don't like it. It's like, all right, well, I see what he is.
Right.
And another thing is managing, right?
Yes.
You got on SOC varsity alone, how many kids you say on the roster?
It's 65.
65. So you talking about, 20 coaches managing 65 kids, but you have your position coaches, right? Now I got to manage all these different kids, and then you have different mindsets in every kid,
Yes.
right? So they coming at school, they're one way. Then when they at home, they're like, Mama, I am saying this. Mama, I am doing that. But when they're at school, it's a totally different dynamic,
For sure.
right?
Right.
So now, who are your advocates, right? If I'm at school and I'm not listening to nothing the coach say, is he gonna pick up the phone and say, "Hey, man, come recruit this kid"? Probably not. If I don't know you, if I don't feel comfortable in saying, hey, this is the guy that needs to get recruited, then guess what? I'm not gonna make that phone. I'm not gonna advocate for you. So again, parents got to understand who their advocates are in that kid's circle, and then understand who your kid is. Be honest about that.
Yes.
If he a knucklehead, guess what? Nobody's gonna help him.
Right.
When you got so many different kids, and people say, "Oh, it's the coach's job." No, it's the coach's job to coach them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Anything beyond that
Right.
is a bonus.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's their job to be there to coach them while they're there. Right?
Yeah.
And anything extra, again, these guys have families, they have lives, they have stuff outside of that. So you have a small window of time that you get to deal with these kids, and you had to compartmentalize a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So tons to it. Godly.
Well, it's a big fish in a small pond.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to be an advocate. We're talking to, shout out to the group of kids and parents that came out.
Sunday, that was yesterday.
You know what I mean? I was just telling Coach about that. You have to be an advocate. And if you don't have that advocate, there's a difference between being an advocate and being a helicopter parent. Yeah. It's a totally different dynamic. And you have to have that. the parents have to be educated enough about what they're doing, and that's kind of what we do here on the show each week is try to educate and get them in the proper position to succeed if they want to go on to the next level through the parents to the kids. Because if you don't have that circle or something, the bond is broken. If, you plug something into the wall, it has potential. But if that potential don't plug up and you don't connect, it's just an incomplete circuit.
Absolutely.
So,
and parents, please, I'm jumping off. Nadi said that. Go to your kids, especially middle school. Go to your kids. Go and see what they're posting online. I'm clearly shocked with a lot of stuff that I see. Kids saying I want to get recruited, and they're posting some of the worst content on the planet in middle school and high school. It's just please, if you love your kid, go see what they're posting on social media, redirect it. Their stories, watch all of that stuff. Even if you got to create a fake page, you need to go see it because it's bad.
Right.
A lot of is bad.
Right.
I mean, from guns to drugs to middle.
Yeah. And even for me, I tell my kids, like, because like being at SOC, and even just the kids that I train, a lot of kids have D1, whatever their name is.
Right.
And I tell them all the time, like, okay, are you working like this? Like, do you really understand what comes with
Absolutely.
this? Like, do you
Right.
understand what you're representing, like, when you putting that on your name?
Right.
Like, that's something that I try to get them to understand. Like, you putting a burden on yourself. Like, even me, like, my name is what it is on social media.
Right.
But it's not like everything that I produce isn't what it's saying that it is.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I can't post on there and I'm getting pancakes behind the line of scrimmage, or I'm getting beat, or you know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
not D1 material. It's just
Right.
not. Do you lose? For sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't perfect in high school. Like, there's plenty of clips. Oh, pull up to you where he was like, Zach didn't do this right.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you doing way more great stuff than you are. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Absolutely.
the thing. Like, okay, understand what you putting yourself on, because like you say, you can't put D1 and you got guns on there. You
Right.
got drugs on there.
Right.
You got girls looking a certain type of way on there. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? All of that coincides.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the message we try to send out on a weekly basis, talking to kids, talking to parents. It's, set yourself up for success. Don't get dragged down, with the crab in the buckets type mentality.
And the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, well, such and such did it. He a 5-star. What? He a
Doesn't
5-star.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And his day is gonna come.
Right.
It is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be responsible for that at
Right.
some point.
It's going to catch up.
Yeah, it's gonna catch
Believe
up.
me, it's coming up. As you see.
But he already got
when they
it.
make
You
it to
trying
the
to get it?
NFL and they bringing up stuff when he was 14.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know
And
what
they
I'm
do
saying?
it every
They
day.
got somebody that's their job.
do it every day.
Find and dig stuff. On
Absolutely. They do it every
It
day.
is. It is.
And these kids just don't understand. Like
They don't
every
see the
time they
bigger
do
picture.
it. Yeah, they
They'll
don't.
never see
Absolutely.
the bigger picture.
They
Well,
don't.
you don't from 14 to
No, you
17.
don't.
You don't.
No.
And that's coming
And
from
if you do, it's
experience.
way different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're in a different situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can see, like the past, you can see a window to it. The future, you can't. You can't tell it that. You know what I'm saying? But, switching gears a little bit, the voice of the trenches. How did you come
Big
up
time.
with that? I think that's saying everything in itself. It
Yeah.
speaks to what you do. But the voice of the trenches, and then talk about trapping in the trenches, how you got that started. as well.
Okay. So realistically, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I took it from Lil Durk. Okay. And that was the origination of it, because that's
Yeah.
what he called himself.
Right.
But then you look at it, my middle name is Aaron.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about the Bible,
Mhm.
Aaron speak well. And
Right.
whenever his brother tongue was tied, he asked him to speak for him.
Right.
So that's my name too. So it goes
Right.
into it. And it's just play on words, trenches, that's what we call offensive line,
Right.
defense line
Absolutely.
play. And then trapping in the trenches is Mike. So Mike he had this camp. We did the camp maybe 21.
Right.
So we did it once. And if you go back and look at that camp,
Yeah.
what, 20, 25?
Shout out to Mike West,
25,
Mike.
the Houston
20,
hero.
25, 30 kids that
Yeah.
went D1 from that camp.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then he happened to call me maybe like mid-April. We was in there testing. He was like, Zach, I think I want to do another camp. And I was like, all right, what's up?
Yeah.
So, we chopped it up or whatever. He was like, what you want to call it? You want to change the name? And I was like, nah, you do your thing. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
And it's funny because, one of my classmates was like, oh, they're trapping in Plano. Da, 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 da. And I was and then you just see like people don't understand
They're
the
taking it too
dynamic
far.
of,
Yeah.
But no, it's just, and, me and Mike, and just in general, we use a lot of hip hop references, or just in general the stuff that appeals to children,
Right.
and making it to where it's for us and it's a positive influence. You know what I'm saying? Because this game, like you say now, it is a business. You can make money off of it. I can't turn it nothing into something. It's kids signed for 150, 500, whatever it is that they're getting from it.
Right.
Now, is that everybody? No. But if you do what you're supposed to do, you could change your life with this game.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing of it. And I tell people all the time, I look this way so it appeals to kids a certain type of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, y'all been around football a long time.
No doubt.
Offensive line coaches don't look like this.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
They don't. They
Right.
don't seem like this. They don't dress like it's not cool.
Right.
And that's the problem within our community is everybody that looks like us want to run the ball.
Right.
Because that's what it is. So
Right.
now when you make it look a certain type of way,
Right.
now it's appealing to you. Now I can make, you know what I'm saying, what the left tackle that plays for the Texans, if you go and look on his Instagram now,
Tonsil.
yes.
Yeah.
It looks a certain type of way.
Right.
You know, everybody looks at Trent Williams. It looks a certain type of way.
No doubt.
And that's what you want it to be. Whether you ever going to be at that level, no. But you know, you dealing with people that don't really exude confidence naturally.
Right. Right.
So that's why the moniker is there. You know, everybody feels like it's me pumping myself up, but really it's just to make a kid feel like, okay, I can do that.
Right.
And I can really look a certain type of way and I'll be able to enjoy myself.
Right.
And that's what it's about. It's just making us feel like I can really do this and I can be cool off this.
Well, it's
You know what I'm
making it
saying?
look sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly what it
And
is.
there's
Yeah.
power in that.
There's power in that.
It is.
Because, you know, you see Trent Williams, he
Yeah.
play with everything. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Longview, Texas. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's
Dark
a
visor, long sleeves, short cleats.
He coming down.
Tights, all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what they see. You
Yeah.
know? He's made it. But the proof is in the pudding. He didn't
It
just
is.
make it there on fluff. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? It's a lot of work.
Swag
that goes
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah,
It all
It's
goes
there.
It
together.
all goes together. You know what I'm
Nah.
saying? Now, offensive line play. You know, I was out there trapping in the trenches this past week and have been there several times before. You know,
Yeah.
shout out to Coach O, Coach Tuck, been at those as well with you guys as
Yes,
well.
sir.
What are some of the things, the keys? You know, when parents and players are looking to come get training from the offensive line perspective, what are some of the things that they kind of need to be working on and looking at?
Things that they need to be working on is obviously footwork, being able to bend, hand placement. Those are the three keys as to what we're talking about.
Right.
As far as like just what they get with me or anything in the base level, the stance, understanding that I can't be on my toes because you know what I'm saying. I go all over state. So
Right.
I see different places, especially with triple option offenses, a lot of people leaning or whatever.
Right.
And it's helpful to understand them like you gain nothing from being on your toes, especially once you got to go backwards.
Right.
In these settings, you're going backwards all the time. And even in offenses today, 75% of the offenses you're going backwards. So you have to understand where the weight of your foot is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like people always say the balls. But at a certain point as to like where the big toe towards the arch, like the halfway point of there, that's where all your weight is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But it's little intricacies that I talked about where it's like if you get those or understand those, then you'll be able to build your game. And that's really what I teach, and it's just based in the details. And it's to me it's simple, it's simplistic. But, you know, for a lot of kids, they're like, nah, coach, we've never done this at all. And it's telling a lot because if you understand, and you know, y'all been around the game a lot as to it's a reason why offensive linemen are rarely ranked high, and if they are, they're super athletic, i.e. Devon Campbell.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it looks different, and you're
Kelvin
like, okay,
Banks.
yes, Kelvin Banks, all of those,
Right.
but those are freak athletes.
Absolutely.
Whereas super technicians aren't. Like, tell me what Zach Martin rating was when he came out of high school.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
even if he was rated high, he wasn't number one. Like, he's not an all-pro the last 10 years.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But you don't understand the details that go into it.
Right.
You get them. So that's the biggest thing is just helping the kids understand the basics of it because all it is stepping, and it's understanding that I press off whatever foot I'm not using to get there, and now it's bending. And the big thing has been in my training regimen, probably the last like year and a half, 18 months or whatever, is just incorporating like bending in everything that we do. You know what I'm saying? Hip flexibility, mobility, all of that. And a lot of stuff I do is DB stuff.
Right.
Because, you know, they coincide. And I've always wanted to be a DB my whole life. So,
No
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, I mean, those are some of the things that go into any position, but the foundation, you know, and I said this, it starts with the trenches, and that's why this is such a good thing that you guys are doing. Is it starts right there. You know, I'll take it back a couple of years ago on Sox first run. I was at the game against Alito when they played out at, I think it was Mansfield.
Mm-hmm.
That was the reason they won that game is because it was physical.
Yeah.
They took it to them that first half, and you could hear it from the sideline. They was, you know, the grunt, just the pass.
Yeah.
And I said then they were going to win state because it was just so physical. And Alito's always been a physical team, but they took it to him right out the gate, hit him in the mouth, and, you know, they kind of surprised him, I think. I think Alito expected them not to, you know, to be more flashy or whatever. but they were super physical, and I think that's the key to them. On their run now is on those lines, they're physical. On that front seven, on D, physical, and they fly.
Yeah.
And technical.
Technical.
That they have the mentality, but now they have the technique to go with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas before it was athleticism,
Right.
by itself.
Right.
Now it's athleticism coupled with great
Coaching
technique.
as well, though.
Absolutely.
Coaching as well.
That's the
What
biggest
the
thing.
coaching
Yeah.
the technique came in
Well,
with the coach.
I'm speaking of the whole staff.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest
Absolutely.
thing. You've ever seen these guys?
Absolutely.
Well, you have, and you
Of
have.
course, yeah.
But if you haven't seen these guys operate, it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And you got to be there.
You got to be there.
You have
gotta
to
be there. Like the game against Argyle.
Yeah.
I was there.
I find myself on the sideline, not even watching the game,
I'm
just
watching
watching
the
the
coaches.
coaches.
Yeah.
Like,
Me too.
just
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm watching the coaches. I'm looking at everything they're doing, and it's so calm and cool. Shout out to Coach Ward and Coach Spencer and
Man.
Todd, Coach Todd, 2 times. I've been around this program a little while.
Yeah.
Since probably about 4 or 5 years, just watching the games, going to practice and things like that. Best coaching staff that you'll see. If you really want to learn, they should teach a clinic. I'm sure they do. You know what I'm saying? But this is the continuity that you have.
Nah, for sure.
In a coaching staff, and
Yeah.
you have the chance
Man.
to see that every day.
Every day.
and it's crazy. You know
and
what
them
I'm saying?
cats swagged out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they
Love it.
They
Yeah.
got
Love it.
they exude
You know what
swag.
I'm saying? When they come
Yeah.
out with they come out with the ice white, you better look. It's
Man.
going down.
It's
you know what I'm
going
saying?
down.
But another thing we were talking about earlier was setting up their film. I think that a lot of times offensive linemen, I watch film weekly. So do you, and you break down film.
Yeah.
The way they set it up, it cannot be right sometimes. If the kids don't know what they're doing, if they're not getting the right proper coaching, I think that's a big misnomer, and it kind of puts them behind in the recruiting trail as well. If you don't see them in person,
Tons of kids.
So
Tons
talk
of
about
kids.
that a little bit.
The biggest thing, if you run screens in your offense, that needs to be on there. You
Right.
getting out in the open, pulling, getting to the second level. Doubles is probably the last thing. So it go pulling, screens, getting to the second level, solo blocks, and then you'll put the doubles.
Right.
A lot of time, that's generally where the most of your pancakes is on the double team, so the kids like to put that first. But getting to that second level and getting out on screens is 2 things that show your athletic ability.
Right.
So that'll be the most important for you to put on there, just because we're going to be able to see you move. When you get in space, can you get down? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Do you run straight through the DB, or do you break down and you get scared? Like, it's a lot that goes into it.
Right.
And that's, think about somebody like Big Mike, who's our right tackle.
Right.
He has a play on, on his film where he's getting out on the screen. He just mauls a corner.
Right.
And that just makes you think like, oh, he's 6'5" and he can move like this.
Right.
Those are the things that kind of separate you to be who you know what I'm saying?
And Bubba too as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, Bubba.
Yeah.
Shout out
He
my
gonna-
dude.
Yeah.
He gonna go viral every time.
right. But I mean,
He just
it-
nasty.
it's controlled aggression though.
It is.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
And that's he got a little brother that's a freshman that we
No doubt.
that I'm trying. Well, now he gonna be a sophomore. He a 26 kid.
right.
But it's
Same type of thing.
I put him in my pocket and we trying to make sure I get him to where he's
Right.
supposed to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
And shout out to Coach Trailer too.
Yes, Coach
An excellent
Trailer,
job
yeah.
with the recruiting
All
trail
of
over
them.
there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think there was over 20 kids
Mhm.
in that December. Just in December alone, we talk about getting to February.
Yeah.
They do a great job on the recruiting trail
And
as well.
that is the thing, the relationships, and that is an extra incentive
Mm-hmm.
that they have, to have someone that can push that out. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
But they got the bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got the kids that can flat out play.
Right.
Well,
Well, it's built from the ground up.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? It
Yeah.
didn't happen overnight.
From
Coach
off
Todd
season
started
to
this,
everything. Yeah.
And all of those guys have been there for umpteen years.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
So, and they
It's
tried
not a
to come
mistake.
and get them too.
It's not a
You know,
mistake.
It's not a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Now, before we get out of here, you got a chance to go on that state run last year and see it. Talk about that experience, because not a lot of people get to experience that coming through high school. And you got a chance to experience that. It was
Yeah.
great. I saw you walk through that process just about almost every week.
Yeah,
Let's
for
talk
sure.
about
Be a
that
part of
little bit.
history and be a part of history.
For sure.
That's
Nah,
true
that's
black
what it
history
is.
right
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely.
for sure.
True black history.
Not even a question. So let's start off Duncanville, national televised game. At this point, I'm in the box,
Right.
so I'm up there just looking, and you just see 30 minutes into the game, people still just falling into the stadium, and it's
Yeah.
just like, what are we getting ourselves into?
Right.
Start the game off 2 picks, and it's just like, wow, all right, we might really do this.
Yeah.
But you see how it go, and it was just that was something that was insane just to begin itself. Then you move to Lancaster, and that was a bludgeoning. like real deal. Like we got beat up
Right.
at every point. Like we at halftime trying to figure it out. You talk about calm, it wasn't calm at that point. Like
Right.
nah, we getting on it. Like what's going on? Like
Right.
trying to figure it out. And just intermission as far as like I came. Like Ward told me to come to spring practice before the year, so I'm at spring every day making working just being his right hand man. And not thinking nothing of it, I was like, I'm either gonna go another school in Dallas or I'm gonna go to Houston. Like, just because my previous thing was just it was what it was and it wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? And it just gradually went to Ty found a spot, and he was like, all right, I need you to. Ward wanted me to do my part with him for the defense, and then I coach freshman O-line. So we go through it. Like I say, we went through Duncanville, went through Lancaster, and then we were practicing for DeSoto. And I was like, I kind of need to go like where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I still did
Right.
my job for Ward, but it was just like, nah.
Yeah.
He said, you can go ahead. So I went down there, and I was with the offensive line during the week, and then did my defensive stuff on Friday. So, and then, played DeSoto. First half, it was, 2x2, a lot of stuff that wasn't really working for us. And then second half, we got toting a rock. we put Jaquan, which is our B-back, in the game, and just got to leaning.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, this is who we supposed to be.
Right.
And we led that all the way. Go to Parrish, 65 runs, 5 passes.
Right.
And you win the game with a late field goal.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, we here now.
Right.
And then, so, going to district. I ain't never been in a district that was like that. So, we got the calm. It was a lot more. Because you go from 28 days straight where you at the office every day. Like, from getting there on Saturday, anywhere from 10 to 4, 10 to 6.
Right.
Sunday is 12 to whatever, 12 to 4, 12 to 6, whatever it is that day. And then, district come, you get to calm down, you get the bodies. And that was wearing on our kids because, at the Sotos or Duncanville, you got 100 kids that can play varsity.
Right.
We ain't got that.
Right. Right.
And they ain't never been in something that's to where it was a physical pounding of like shoulders being out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, nah,
absolutely.
we limped into the fourth game.
Right.
And we made it do, we won, and we did what we were supposed to do. And then, go through district or whatever. And now towards it, we trying to figure out the district that we going to play first round. And we going through and we was like, we don't want to see something. We don't want to see something. We don't want to see something. You know what I'm saying? Because
No
we
doubt.
know what it is. Because
Yeah.
some it looks like DeSoto. Some it looks like
Right.
Duncanville. Some it looks like
Absolutely.
Lancaster. Like,
Right.
nah, we know what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Like, they going to line up, put 7 in a box, and play man.
Right.
Sure enough,
That's
what
what
happened?
that is.
You know what I'm saying? It just so happened to be probably one of the coldest nights of the year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
But, Randy Reese is Randy Reese.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
so he gets out of the first game. And then second game we play Lovejoy. And
Mash mouth.
you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen when it's starters on starters versus Lovejoy.
Right.
And Black Jesus came out. That's what we call JT. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I call JT.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Jesus came to
Yeah.
see us.
Right.
So that happens. And then win that game, obviously, twos come in, threes come in, they play, they score, whatever. Kyle Parker is Kyle Parker.
He
you know what
is.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he is going to start
He's
as a
that
freshman
guy.
at LSU.
Yeah.
But, we still won the game.
Yeah.
Now, third round, Midlothian Heritage. It was a well-fought game. That's probably – so the 3 best quarterbacks we played, Parrish Episcopal.
Sawyer Anderson.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah.
No question.
No doubt.
Like cold.
Spin it.
Yes. Him. Woodrow Wilson quarterback.
Oh,
He played for Flex. I can't
yeah.
think of his
I know
name.
his name. That's my guy. Yeah, he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks
Yes,
in DFW.
he
can spin it.
Yeah.
And he can
If
move.
he's anywhere else, he's
Yeah.
D1 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah, he cold. Him and then the Midlothian Heritage quarterback.
Yeah.
So, he's out there making plays. Hurdles our safety who runs 10-3. Like, nah, he the real deal.
Yeah.
And they offensive coordinator coached him up the same type of way. If you listen to back at Lancaster game, Paul talks about how he coached them up to make tough catches.
Right.
The way that their body, like the receivers would contort their body to get the ball into them. He did the same type of thing because it's a college offense.
Right.
Now, mind you, we do play a college defense, so, that's why we
Yeah.
give credit when it's due.
Right.
And Midlothian Heritage definitely got it. But once again, Black Jesus, 97 yards. We do what we got to do to get to overtime. And then also Danny Green finishes the game, which, that starts to show up as to far as like,
The progression.
yes.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, JT who he is, athletic
Right.
specimen.
Right.
But, he had been hurt. His back here came back. And now it's like, okay, we going into the 4th round. And that's bully ball. And that's, you know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
we're not taking that lightly at all.
Yeah.
But that's where the torch get passed as far as Danny Green. And it's like, okay, it's your time now. Like Teddy hurt, JT hurt, so now it's you the man. What you gonna do with your time?
Right.
And he delivered for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that was probably our closest game. Outside of Argyle, is Melissa. Yeah, because I think we was down going into the fourth.
Yeah, that was a very physical game as well. Melissa up
we
front,
were at that game.
Yeah,
man, that was
very physical.
That was very physical.
That exclamation point that Danny Green put on with that touchdown with the high knees.
Yeah,
that was it.
For sure.
Yeah.
But that signifies South Oak Cliff football,
right?
For sure,
absolutely.
And then you know what I'm saying. So JT didn't really play it that much, but he comes back and he opens the game versus Argyle. And when we score, I'm like, like it's gonna get ugly,
right?
But they still a championship program,
absolutely.
And the defense said,
right,
sit down, settle down.
It came in just like the fall.
It
was super foggy.
Yeah,
you couldn't hardly see in that second half. By the time we got ready to leave,
man, when I tell you that's the most stressful we've ever felt in it. Me personally, the coaching staff, everything.
Right.
We sit back in the office we won. We not even celebrate bro. We're hurting Todd tell his story of he in the car driving with Coach Mitch, and he in there Mitch, I think I need to go to the hospital. That's how stressed he was. Nah, for real. We was really stressed.
No
and
doubt.
That's before the offense goes on to the last drive. Todd gave a speech twice, but he really gave him last final speech. They all over there crying, defense crying, because it really means something. If you understand the dynamic of both of those teams, you understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you go back, Ward, he get a bunch of stuff recorded, and Coach, where is it at? Coach Traylor, which you talking about him.
Yeah.
So if you remember at this time, by that time Deion gets to Colorado.
He's at Colorado.
So Taylor gets dropped. So now it's a spur around of okay, what are we gonna do with Taylor? What are we gonna do with Taylor? What's gonna happen?
Right.
And that's when he drops the news that Taylor, you know what I'm saying? Taylor gonna be all right, but you gotta produce.
Right.
And so, you know what I'm saying? It was so much passion in that game that we knew what was happening right then. Man,
that's those backstories that you
it's just something you gotta
hear.
see.
Yeah.
It's just something and we got so much film of it, but in that moment, you don't even understand.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that he played Southside the Realest, come
the
on,
DJ.
it was.
Shout out to if you've never been to that complex,
that's
North
Crowley.
No doubt.
That much different.
It's different, dog. It's different.
So that game goes how it goes. We go on that last drive, and same thing. Danny Green finishes, finished the drive off. Right. We did what he did, and then defense come back on, stops it. With everybody, they run down, and that's where you got the death row picture. And that comes up later, but it is what it is.
Right.
But that was something. And then you go to the state game, and I ain't never felt like that in my life. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I was there.
It's just running through our going through our Indy, and you see me all before pregame.
Absolutely.
Nobody talks to me during pregame.
Right.
I just rap the whole time. The whole hour before pregame, my AirPods is going crazy. Even while I'm running Indy, I still don't let people talk to me.
Yeah.
But nah, that meant something. That was just just seeing it, and it was the best thing that happened was us to go down.
Right.
Because it was nah, you got to fight for this. They ain't laying down.
Right.
And if you looked at it, you talk about physical. Our run was physical, where it goes from Summit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you go to Melissa, then Argyle, and then PNG.
Yeah.
PNG had probably 7 people that's 6'2", 330.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. They was physical.
Big.
They
was big.
No doubt.
Todd said they was built like refrigerators. They was huge.
Yeah.
That's that
You know what I'm
Southeast
saying?
Texas, boy.
Yeah.
They big out there.
They was huge. And it was just, you know what I'm saying? We had to go through it, and Manny gave us the touchdown early, and then come around and pick 6 it. But if you watch that, that's just a clinic.
Yeah.
It's just a clinic of DB play because it goes into a point of it being three receivers releasing, 2 receivers releasing. And once you get into that, and they get to call whatever they want to call, and it's Manny and Abdul, it's over.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? They've been doing this 3 years. So now, if you look at the amount of games that they played 16 last year, they played 15 the year before, and then they played, 12 or 13?
The year before.
So what's that? 38, 40 games?
Yeah, they see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is nothing to us. So we get to clamp this or we get to switch it off, and nah, it's different. And Ward is so intricate as to far as you know what I'm saying? He gonna put something in, but he won't play it or he won't show it.
Right.
And Owen Ward is kind of close. Yeah. So Ward to send him all the calls, and the O would just shake his head like, "Why are you doing this to people?" You know what I'm saying? But it's just and that's the just being there, being around Todd, like Spence, like, all of them, and like you say, it's a reason why it's collective. It's a reason why I'm probably one of the few coaches that got added on, like me and McGrew. But like, it's a purpose to what's going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And what you was talking about, the technique wise, like even before I get there, Ward is still there. Walker was there before, and now Walker back. You know what I'm saying? All of that goes into Todd and Spence being linebacker specialists. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Trailer, a recruiting guru. We call him Sauce Trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like this, it's a bunch of people on that staff that really know what they're doing, and we all find our niche and we go fully. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it works so much. You know what I'm saying? You get to, it's like you get to be, it's a home, and y'all can go sit in our office, and we gonna sit there and have the same conversation we was gonna have if y'all wasn't there.
Right.
We not gonna act.
We're
not like it's jokes right now. You know what I'm saying? Like Jason Taylor came into the office or whatever, and everybody just looked. It just kept on time. You know what I'm saying? But that type of stuff is just what happened. But Brent Venables comes sitting there, and it's like he a part of the staff.
Right.
Or Jeff Trailer, the UTSA coach.
Right.
Yeah, he comes in there like, dang, I miss being able to just do this. And you know what I'm saying?
Not
like,
so corporate.
Yeah. Like, and anytime you walk into the thing, you're going to see somebody other than Todd in his office. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done had O-line meetings. Ward done had DB meetings. Spence had linebacker meetings. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's fluid as far as like, you know, it's no big eyes, little U's. Like, nah, we in this
let
together.
everybody do what they do.
Right.
And Todd already on Twitter going in already.
I
just saw it yesterday.
I think it's 53 days. Or
No
something.
doubt.
Yeah,
I saw it too.
Yeah, we up.
I'm like, he going in already.
Man, listen, I really do appreciate. I've been working on it for probably a year or so.
Yeah.
This ain't gonna be the last time. I'll probably see you at practice here in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the voice of the trenches, Coach Zach Collins.
Thank you
for stopping through the On Your Mark show. Let everybody know where they can find you at on social media.
Zach is great. ZACH is great _. That's on Twitter and Instagram, and it's Zach Collins on Facebook.
Man, look here. Go back and rewind this. I'm telling you, you might want to check this out, man. Again, we appreciate everybody joining us. Like, share, subscribe.
Thank you.
On Your Mark show live on the Fishbowl Radio Network every week, every Wednesday from 11 to 12. We'll holler at you. My dude, Man and Mike, gonna take us out, man. Check out Man and Mike on Instagram. That's my guy who put it down on that song. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Hey, ready, set, go. It's time to hit the mark. This that show you need to know about. We set ourselves apart. Sports talk at the pinnacle. We got all the knowledge, covering every level, helping these young men get to college. Got the coverage of a DB, vision of a QB coming at you like a DN. Let all of that sink in. Working in the weight room, we can't take no